Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
All right. So yeah, I guess this is the first ever podcast in English. So I guess
Yay.
yeah,
We
this is
did
gonna be
it.
fun. Yay, we did it.
Did it.
Now the guys at the film club can actually watch this shit. You know?
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like
discussions. There's some. I think we've done like maybe 12 movies. We've had 12 that we never recorded. We just like talking
Yeah.
about it.
We just
Yes.
I think we have suggested it before that we recorded, but we just never did.
yeah, this is the first time we're ever doing it. So this is gonna be fun. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Avatar.
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 Which one? Avatar 1 or 2?
The one with Kate Blanchett.
Oh yeah, okay, so it's the one directed by Todd Field. That's like
Yes.
a spin-off of Avatar.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a weird. It's weird because it doesn't have any actual blue people in it, but
Yeah.
you know,
It's well,
pretty
no
interesting.
3D. No 3D as well. It's standard 2D.
Yeah, it's just about this random ass music composer, I guess.
Kind of
But
filmed in a Hanukkah way, I guess.
yeah. So Avatar, directed by James Cameron, is a film. Yeah.
I was the first one. I was the first one to see this. I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to see it in theaters with a bunch of old women. I was the only young person there.
Oh, so
Yeah.
we're not the target audience for this movie apparently.
I guess not, because most of those old women were very disappointed by the movie. They were just like, "Okay, what happened?" They're like, "What happened in the end?" It's just like, "Oh, I guess."
I watched it in theaters as well, but like way later than you because I don't know. I guess these movies just come out so late here in Mexico for some reason. But yeah, I did not end up watching it in the theater, and I liked it, but I'm also a bit
I
conflicted.
love it. I
Yeah.
fucking love it. This is okay. I think from what we can settle the score, I'm the only one who's rated it very high, right?
Yeah, I have it as a 6. Maybe it will go higher, like a second watch. But yeah, I think you have it as a 10, right? Shit.
Yeah, I have it as a 10. I don't know about you, Osvaldo.
You mentioned that it's debatably your favorite film of last year, correct?
Yeah, this is my favorite film of last year.
Even Bardo?
Bardo is second for me.
Interesting. Especially because like hearing you guys talk about like you guys have some experience. Me, I've only watched this a few days ago. It's funny to think like my mind is I have so many notes. I'll say that a lot, and it's almost schizophrenic, just because like there's a few moments where like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then in a few minutes later I'm thinking like it's kind of overrated.
Okay, that's interesting. That's very
It's
interesting.
so fucking it's schizophrenic. I'll say if there's anything to describe my thoughts on this movie, it's schizophrenic because I mean like one moment it's all right. Let's just talk a little. I'll let you guys talk about it a little more just before I start to repeat myself. What were you guys gonna say?
I guess I can just like introduce it a bit more, just because, yeah, like I think I'm in the same boat as you as well, because I was honestly very excited to watch the movie, and maybe I went in with like a bit more, I guess with the wrong expectations, because like I didn't expect the movie to be like this Hanukkah-esque, style filmmaking, which I like. Like I like movies like that. I like how the movie is so restrained in like it's not very showy at all. It's like even though a lot of the composition, just a lot of the technicals of the movie as a whole is incredibly impressive. Like
Yeah.
the cinematography is awesome. It's so simple, but like it's so simple, but it works so well. There's so many great shots where like you can tell that like they spent probably even like hours just planning a single frame. It's really impressive.
Yeah, that's what I really love about this movie is especially just like how much it kind of feels like Hanukkah, but at the same time it's doing its own thing. And how it's edited well. Like there are specific scenes that I really love, like scenes where the camera never like wants to zoom in into a character, like in the scenes where Lydia's talking with like I think it's like her friend or something, her old friend in his office, and you never really see the camera ever like change, like switching to like a zoom in or a zoom out. The whole thing is like zoom out, which it's kind of interesting, and it makes me want to think much more like what is the filmmaker trying to say in this specific shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like I definitely want to say that about the movies. Like it's very, it's not like my frustration from the movie doesn't come from something like I don't know, fucking Blonde, right? Where like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Blonde,
kinda like,
I can tell that the director is trying to be very artsy and deep, but he just falls flat on his fucking face. Like I can tell like in this movie, like it's actually like, being way more truthful in the sense of like it's trying to be like it succeeds at what it's trying to do. It's, I guess, for me that the one thing that like makes me question the movie is just kind of this how the story is paced, because it's pretty clear what the movie is about. The story of the movie is pretty clear, like how basically is this whole ordeal of Lydia Tarr, and how like
yeah.
her public image is slowly like getting destroyed by shit that she did in the past.
It's very interesting how some people are taking it. It's very interesting how people, either side of like what you believe in, is taking this movie, because there's like some people who are saying like, oh, what she said, and that. And one of my favorite scenes, I'll say that it's like the scene where she gives the lecture. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Very interesting how people interpret that, because there's this one guy, not gonna say what he said was like right, because I didn't even believe myself was like what he said was kind of right, but very interesting how people were seeing that scene, because the dude basically, you guys know who Chris Gore is, right? That weird ass dude who thinks he knows movies.
Yeah, the writer guy on YouTube.
Yeah, the man. He, I don't know where I found this. Yeah, I was on YouTube, and he just literally said like, oh yeah, if an actual like college professor would say this in these days, this would happen to what happened to Lydia Tarb. I'm just like, but didn't you know like how Lydia Tarb was like talking to this person? Like she literally said the N-word. Well, not like the actual N-word, but like the movie is literally telling you something like how sort of artists think that they can get away from like saying things like, oh, I can literally say this because I'm saying it in an intellectual way. But it's like, no, you're not. You're still kind of being a douchebag.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what I like that's probably, I do agree, that's probably my favorite scene as well, because I really enjoy how the scene is in one take, and it's not just in one take just because it's impressive. It actually has a purpose to it. When and later on in the movie they show you that same scene, but somebody cut it out so that it fits into another narrative. So it makes sense why it's in one shot. What's really funny about that scene in particular is the fact that I actually had a pretty similar experience to what happened in that scene. Basically, like what happened, like it reminded me so much of, there was this one time when I was like in film school, and this one teacher, I don't know what we're talking about, but basically this other student was basically asking the same thing that the character in this movie does, where like, like that he doesn't want to like support artists that have done like shitty things in the past. And then the teacher, my teacher, pretty much in the same way as Lydia Tarr in this movie, just kind of like scolds him for not separating the art from the artist. And yeah, it was a very interesting thing to see that being portrayed in a film, because that's literally what happened. I literally saw that happen in a school once.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think like the most important thing is that it's not that she's wrong. In fact, I personally do agree with what she's saying. It's just that the fact that she's being just a so up his own ass about it, you know. She can't just be like, well, I guess I disagree with you, student, but like she has to like be the intellectual. She has to be like, no, you're stupid and wrong, you know. Like that's where the main issue starts to
Yeah.
evolve.
Many
Or
people were. It's very interesting how people were interpreting that scene as like there was literally one per like lots of there's literally people being like oh she's owning a lamb, yeah. It's just like, okay, but I don't think that's like what the movie's saying. I don't think the movie is like being like, yeah, suck it up, liberals. I think it's like saying much more than that. I think some people are taking it at one are a bit too one-sided in some things, especially in these types of things.
it's definitely a very ironic scene, because at the end of the day, what she's trying to say is you need to separate the art from the artist, because the art, you know, is very important, even if the artist is kind of a shitty person. And then the entire movie is basically you doing the exact same process. Where like, okay, Leah Tarr is a very, you know, talented artist, but she's also a piece of shit. You know, like she's kind of a fucking asshole.
Yeah, and I think we can all relate to the fact of like there are artists that we like, but we kind of hate what they've done. Like, for me, example, I love The Pianist. It's one of my favorite movies, but I fucking hate Polanski. I fucking hate Polanski. I think The Pianist is like one of the best Holocaust movies ever made, but I think that Polanski is a piece of shit.
So yeah, that's definitely like that scene puts that little seed at the beginning of the movie of like how Lydia's reputation is just gonna go downhill from there, and also the interview at the beginning.
Yeah, I love the interview. It's like one of the best things in my opinion.
I guess for me, what starts to like devalue a bit of the movie moving forward from these scenes is I mean the movie's long, you know.
Yeah.
And
but
the
it
movie's
doesn't.
a very
That's funny.
long
That's
movie.
funny because it never felt long for me.
I definitely did feel long for me. Like I was appreciating the slow pace, but like what was kind of frustrating me about it is that there's just a lot of scenes that for me just kind of don't go anywhere. Like just kind of stuff happens. Like there's definitely like little tidbits where like, oh, she's being kind of an asshole to her assistant, even though she's like she has shown so much loyalty to her. Or
Yeah. There was literally. Did you see that scene where she was like looking at like the. And I actually this actually got caught my attention the second time I saw it, where she was like putting all the vinyls in the floor, and I think her assistant was there with her, and she puts like her feet and like she's like kind of rubbing her feet in a way. Did you not see that scene? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I did. I mean, I did see it. I don't think I actually noticed that she's actually like rubbing her feet almost.
Yeah, it looked like that. It looked like she was rubbing her feet. I'm just like, okay, that may because after watching it and knowing like she's seen as like sort of a predator in a way, it makes much more sense. So it's like, okay, maybe things are going really. Maybe she's doing things that she's not supposed to do.
There's a lot of scenes that like put that those little questions of like, okay, what did this person actually like do that like it's clearly has been very that has clearly been very affecting so many people. Like the beginning of where they showed this one girl that like, well, they don't show it, but they explain you that this one girl that was like her student committed suicide, and it's pretty much implied that she pretty much abused her. But then like afterwards the movie like starts to do a bunch of stuff for like you don't really know. It's pretty much established at the end by the end of the movie that yes, she did abuse this one student. But then like they start doing rumors of like, oh, she asked for sexual favors from other students, and also like it's just kind of like a tyrant, and you never know if that any of that is real. And I thought maybe that's kind of the point of the movie, that you don't know what's even real at one point. But it did become a bit frustrating where like, oh, like, so now it's just a bunch of like nonsense rumors, and even or maybe they're not even nonsense rumors, maybe this is actually real, we don't know.
Yeah, and I think that like it is. I think the frustration comes along with the idea of could it be like a frustration that we actually have in our own like our own reality in a way, when people sort of like, I don't know, get canceled nowadays, and then when people are canceled, there's like people online like saying allegations like, oh, he did that, or whoever did something, and probably months, like, I don't know, weeks later, months later, it's finds out like some of the things were true, all the things were fake, all that. So I think that's like a frustration that the movie tries to show us, like, yeah, people can go online easily and just make things, and not to say like everyone makes things up, but it's very easy to just make something up and get a bandwagon going. Like literally, like there's literally a scene where she looks at like a video on Twitter where it's like it's like the lecture scene she gave, but it's like edited. You were talking about this. It's like edited where it's like all the points she made are done, and it's just like the parts where she really says like the most stupidest shit are in there, and it makes it very interesting for me to like think about that. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. People, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how some people are. They don't really give a shit like the whole thing. They just really give a shit about like about some things, not all of it.
That was one of the most interesting parts. I mean, like, there's certain parts of the movie where like I don't think it's trying to get you to sympathize with her.
No,
Like,
I don't
I don't
think
think
so
it's trying to
neither.
do that, but I do think it's a bit of how like it starts to do these things where like, oh, a bunch of random people are like just making shit up about her, taking things out of context. You know, making this situation a lot more, blowing this situation out of proportion, when like, you know, the real important thing would be this one girl who most likely got abused by this person. So in my eyes, I would have preferred like a more direct approach to that whole situation. I do find it interesting because I read some of others' perspective. Some people have said that the way that the movie almost passes by a lot of these situations is in the same way that Lydia Tarr is doing them, because like Lydia Tarr is just trying to do her little show, but like
Mhm.
when all of these allegations start happening, like she can't do it anymore, and like she's very clearly just kind of like trying to avoid them, like trying to pretend they're not there, which is kind of what the movie tries to do as well. Like there's so many things that like, oh, you know, you need to get a lawyer because they're saying this shit about you, but then like then the movie like pauses and like doesn't address it for a while. Like maybe that's kind of like to show how the characters like trying to avoid, like trying to compartmentalize, you know, the shit that she has done, sort of.
It reminds me of scenes like in The Piano Teacher, where something happens and then they cut to it and they don't give that much information anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely do agree. Like, I do notice a very strong influence from the piano teacher. Not just like
Yeah.
like the character in the piano teacher to compare to the one in Tar. Like, they're not the same, obviously,
No, they're
but
not the same.
they're
No, I
very
mean,
similar in how.
you got one who's like a fucking psychosexual, and the other one who's like, I mean,
Yeah,
both are still fucked up in the head, but it's just, and it's much more extreme than the other. I feel.
yeah. I think what's very similar in both of the characters is how like they hide with this, you know, almost intellectual persona, just how like childish they really are. That's something that I really get from both characters. Um, Something that I did like is all of the scenes in the where she's like conducting. You know, like even though I don't know a lot about orchestral music or classical music, like it's very entertaining. You
Yes,
know.
I love those scenes. I love even just like because it's not like just because there was like that one lady and I still remember there's this one lady in the back of me in the theater was like saying, I I wish that we could have seen her play like actually play the music. It's like that's funny. It's funny for me, but yeah, I really love I really just love how those scenes are conducted, and especially how much time they're given, like how much time it's given for each scene for like how they're played and everything. Never, it's never really for me that slow or that quick. I think it's like done pretty. I think that those are really done really well. I think that's one of the reasons why I even got nominated for best editing.
Yeah, yeah. The editing is it's pretty good. It knows how much time it gives to a specific shot. You know, it's not just cutting for the sake of moving the story forward. Like it knows how much time to give to a character.
Especially in that interview scene in the because I'm someone who loves to watch interviews from people I like, and so seeing that was like a remembrance for me of like, oh yeah, that's how interviews are edited in a way. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like I guess most people are like so used to being it all like okay, like whenever A person is talking, you cut to them, and then whenever B person is talking, you cut to them. But in this is like a lot less. When it actually cuts, it's a lot more. It has a lot more purpose to it. You know, it doesn't feel forced of like okay, we need to cut this person. Like no, it knows when to cut to that person or like when to cut to like a different angle. Like it doesn't feel rushed or anything. Yeah, and even a lot of other conversation scenes like it like there's a lot of times where like it just kind of stays on Lydia Tar, you know, even though the other person is already talking. I guess I want to talk about a bit about the ending
Yeah.
because that's also something that like kind of confused me the first time I watched it because like I just think it ends on such a bizarre note, you know.
Yes.
At the end, like I said, yeah, at the end she doesn't actually get to do the show that she wanted. Like she literally like fucking snaps and like almost beats somebody, you know, while they're doing her show. She travels back to the I forget what the country is, but like an Asian country, and then like she just kind of like continues playing, but like for like a different audience, and this audience is like cosplaying for like a video
Yeah, I
game.
found out what the
Like,
video game was. It was Monster Hunter World.
are you serious?
Yeah,
That okay?
Hunter
So
World.
yeah, she's just doing like a. I guess in this universe, she did the score for Monster Hunter, and then it's just a shot of the audience in this cosplay uniform, and then the movie just fucking ends. Like I was so confused. Like what happened there?
I was at first like, oh my god, what was happening to this? I really love this, but what was all this about? And then I realized at the end I was like, oh okay, after finding out a few things and rewatching it, I was like, okay, I guess I have more of an understanding how it's like. I would say like it's supposed to be like he's put in a much more less standard now of like something that she used like because in the beginning of the movie it tells you like she's an EGOT winner and everything. Now she's like literally doing music for a video game, and you know how video game music is taken not well at all. Like music.
That's
So it's
true.
like it's this sort of thing of like to say she's in this like much more less quality than what she was in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it does end with it begins and ends with like an audience almost, but yeah, like this one is a bit like it's like I guess in the eyes of the art world, like it is lesser than like now she's like doing like concerts for like for like gamers and shit.
Just remember thinking like, what's going on here? I had legit I kind of was trying my best to make my own interpretation, but then I just gave up and checked what the hell the end is about. Yeah, I found out it's Monster Hunter,
Although, funny enough, it wasn't me who figured it out. It was my brother. He just happened to be in the room when I played the ending, and then and then he's like, "Is that Monster Hunter?" And I started
Oh, okay,
laughing.
that's really funny. Yeah, I'm not even. I don't even play Monster Hunter or anything. I just found out because of like afterwards, after finishing the movie.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of funny. Although I honestly thought it was a freight convention. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I thought that too. And I was like, is this like what is like
Yeah,
this is definitely like a
I didn't
game
really
thing.
know what it was at first. I was just like, what is going on? And then after that, after rewatching, I was just like, oh, okay, this might be a video game, a video, a video game concert, and yes, it was.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, but honestly, like I was totally fascinated by the ending between between now and the last time and work. I just kept rewinding the movie back to like the ending, like watching her travel to like some Asian country that they never name, I think, all the way
Yeah,
to
they
the end
never
when
did.
yeah, to like when they to the to the moment where she plays a concert for a video game, or whatever the hell's going on there. I loved rewatching that last 15 minutes or maybe half an hour, who knows. But I couldn't stop watching it. I just wanted to watch it again. Like, I was hungry, like hungry. I love, give me that part. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I remember watching that scene and just like, cause well, just like the two old ladies back of me, they were like, what is this? What's going on? And then in the end, they were like, oh, thank God it's
I was
over.
one of those like
I
what the
was
fuck
just
was that?
yeah, I was just amazed. I was just like amazed what I saw. I was like, wow, that was great.
hmm
And then the other people were like, what was going on in this movie?
Yeah, it did like I guess to go back to the piano teacher. It did remind me like because the first time I watched the piano teacher, in the ending, I was just like, what the fuck? What happened? You know, like what was that? But like in that one, like it felt more shocking and satisfying. And this, it just kind of just takes me out completely because I legitimately have no idea why the movie ends there. Like it's just like for me, like it's just such a like I understand how like you guys watching is like oh like it's intriguing, you know, like because it's so
Yeah.
bizarre, you know, it's so bizarre, but it's also like kind of works to me at least. Just kind of like why, like I'm so confused. Like I'm more confused than intrigued.
I did share that opinion for a while, but I just couldn't help but keep watching that scene, like maybe not really to pick it up, but just because like I felt something powerful at the end. And I think it has something to do with like the conversation surrounding this movie about cancel culture, where I think what's where like cancel culture does have its ups and downs, but it is kind of nice to see it happen to somebody who's still alive, because like in that conversation, in the most famous scene of that movie, like everyone talks about like, oh, like look how like she's Owen and Liv, like that. All that aside, it is kind of where I think cancel culture does great is where, well, maybe not cancel culture. What the fuck? It's hard. I'm having a hard time trying to put this into words, but like it's interesting to see it happen to her because she's still alive to face the consequences. Where like you will probably have to have a difficult conversation about like if you want to keep supporting Polanski, because like he's still alive, he's still making money, and there's no way he'll face real consequences for his actions. And he's getting
No.
and he's just getting old.
Sadly, no.
The most we can do is just wait for him to die and just tap dance on his grave, you know. But Lydia Tarr, it's almost like she's in a sweet spot where she has a lot of life left to live, so she lived to see the consequences of her action. Like she lost by the end of that movie, she basically lost everything. She lost the respect of her colleagues, she lost her family, she lost her job. Well, not really her dream job, I guess. She lost her dream job. Now she keep living as this as just conductor looking for work, I guess, because who knows where she'll go after that, but like she's now stuck. Maybe for the rest of her life, maybe. But she lived long enough to see it. Where Polanski, if he died tomorrow, we kind of would all expect it, since he's pretty old.
I do agree with you with that sense. Of, like, it is fascinating to see this high profile person be canceled while he's still able to face the consequences, because like whatever you say about John Wayne that was problematic, that guy's fucking dead, so who cares? Like, whereas someone like, fucking, I guess this is way too obvious, but just as an example, like someone like Harvey Weinstein, where like was still alive, where he needed to face the consequences. And this film also kind of implies that Lydia Tarr probably could have kept going and doing all those horrible things if she. I think that's probably what they're hinting at with that younger composer that she meets, that she has the private classes with. Like, from her perspective, like, she's not doing anything wrong. Like, she's just trying to be this girl's friend and like get her to have a good career. But like, maybe she's not realizing that she's just doing the exact same mistake.
Yeah, and as well, like, you could also say that the ending is kind of like a way to show like how in the end she just repeats herself in the end, because she's just back, just doing music, writing it, living in this sort of loneliness. But now she doesn't have anyone to care for. She can do whatever the fuck she wants, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, I almost feel like she's stuck in a way, because I doubt she can climb back up. And it's not. I think I take a lot of this interpretation as seeing real life figures go through this, because think about it, like, there's some people that were trying to get back to the top. Like, think about, this isn't like a really extreme example, but like, think about Will Smith right now. He's trying his best to apologize to Chris Rock, and he made that one movie that I don't think anyone watched. Did anyone see Emancipation?
No, I heard about it, and I kind of saw the trailer, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't look good. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, and I think that's where I pull a lot of my, I don't know, opinion on it. Just because seeing real life people trying to climb back up and seeing them face the consequences of their actions, like, it's interesting. And I think I can come up with one feeling I had watching the ending of Tar, like, I guess cathartic, because like we've gone through years of like discussing how to separate the art from the artist. But how much of that doesn't matter if the real life people that did all these shitty things don't face consequences? And it's kind of nice to see that happen to some people.
I'm kind of still waiting. This is gonna sound a bit cynical, but I'm still waiting for anything to happen to David O. Russell.
Yeah. Who knows
I hope something happens.
Oh no, I guess David Russell does not seem like like that big of a public figure to get like a lot of news coverage on. Like, he's no talking point. He's like, you hear Will Smith, you immediately think, oh, what's he done now? Like, what's the headline this time?
Yeah.
Like, he's not famous. He's not a celebrity. He's just a person of power, I guess.
Yeah, because like I like how, because like the way like she constantly like disregards any criticism towards her, and just kind of it's similar to, like, I just kept thinking of like very popular stand-up comedians kind of like beat the same joke to the ground of like, oh, we can't do comedy anymore because the liberals just keep whining and they're trying to cancel us. Like, it felt like that. You know what I mean?
It seems a lot when you see like a lot of like, I don't know, when you see like fucking Marlon Wayne saying, "Oh, White Chicks would never be made in this time." It's just like, dude, what the fuck you talking about? I think someone could still make a fucking White Chick movie. Who the fuck told you that's not gonna happen? I think some comedians are just kind of weird with the whole thing, because they're just like, I don't even think they actually know what the actual problem is. They're just like, oh, I guess the comedy we made isn't isn't used anymore.
Yeah,
Like look at fucking. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Look at fucking no bad thing on. I have no hate for comedians, but I kind of just hate how like fucking Ricky Gervais. Fucking Ricky Gervais says the same fucking thing every time. It's just like oh yeah, cancel culture bad, blah blah blah. It's just like what else, man? What else have you been saying? Like since after the whole Golden Globe shit, it's kind of getting annoying now. Same thing with like other comedians, where they just it's like what you said, Diego. They're just bashing the whole cancel culture thing over and over again for like yeah, we get it. It's some of the things are kind of stupid, but what else can you say about it?
yeah. It just seems like their attempt to like not face any, not even just consequence, just like they just completely avoid being even just the tiniest bit introspective. Like, yeah, maybe this joke that I made a couple years ago wasn't in very good taste. Like, I like for me personally, like, I don't understand like why so many celebrities or comedians have to have like this gigantic ego where like, no, I can't accept that something I did years ago was kind of shitty. You know, I can't do that.
Yeah, nobody can't be like the South Park boys, where they literally made an episode saying that they realized that they were wrong about global warming being fake, and now they actually believe in it. Not everybody can be like the South Park boys.
Yeah, exactly.
I maybe in a way I kind of see it as like comedians, like, oh, like I can't, like I wish I can be as successful as I was now in this new culture that we find ourselves in. I guess they can. It's like to them it feels like, oh, they can't survive in this new era, like like they want to go back to when they were successful. I'm not trying to be very cynical about it. I don't think it's because like they don't want. I don't think it's the same reason someone like Lydia Tarr don't want this to come back to them. They just don't seem to want to evolve, I guess. It's nice to be comfortable, but like sometimes the tides are changing. You can't make the same movie you did 20 years ago. Even like someone like you have to keep evolving. But think about like some of the most enduring artists of all time. Think about Scorsese. Let's look at something like Goodfellas and then look at Irishman. They both tackle similar issues, but like so much has changed from then and now. But he still managed to find new ways to explore
Yeah,
the stuff he
there's
loved.
some directors. There's still some directors who are like from old times who can still like go with the new times. I don't know. Scorsese is one of them. I feel like.
Yeah, because they evolve. You know, they understand
Yeah.
that like the time where they were in their heyday is just kind of like gone now. They have to like keep innovating to like stay relevant, I guess. You know, like even something like Iñárritu, for example, like compared Bardo to Amores Perros, like they're both movies that he made in Mexico, but they're like insanely different, you know.
But yeah, these people, they know if they want to keep making movies, they have to experiment a little. Otherwise, if you start to fail, I bet money they will just go back to what was successful and still fail. Think about all the times like someone makes a sequel to a movie that they love. Like look at Kevin Smith. He makes some movies, they turn out bad. So what does he do? He makes a sequel. He makes Clerks 2.
Kevin Smith.
And then, hang on, I'm not done. Then look at Seth MacFarlane. His first movie is a big success. Look at Ted. That movie made so much money, and then his next movie.
Ted is annoying as fuck.
I know.
Ted is annoying.
You gotta bear with me, man. You gotta bear with me.
I can't fucking stand Ted. Like, can't fucking stand Ted. I tried this. I tried the sequel as well. No, I can't stand Ted at all.
I know, but you gotta bear with me just a little longer. That way I can really reinforce my opinion on the matter. Where Seth MacFarlane does a new experiment. He does A Million Ways to Die in the West. That bombs. No one likes it. So what does he do now? Ted 2. People like that, right? and then it bombs. And now Seth MacFarlane has not made a movie since.
And yeah, like now that I think about it, like the way you were saying it, Swallow, like what does Lydia Tarr do? Like instead of facing the consequences, no, she just goes back to composing, but like it's not the same thing anymore because now she's just doing it, but like for like a concert for video games, and like not to like devalue video game OSTs, but like like she's just like doing the same thing again but worse.
Like it's almost crazy to see this, just because most of the time this never happens. A lot of these like famous people who abuse their power and abuse so many people, they died of success. Like all these people won life. Think about it. Like let's think about all the shitty people that still got to keep all their money, their family and shit like that, and they'll never see anything. They never saw the consequences. Think of who knows, like Bach probably died with a lot of money, a lot of like he's not like a shitty person, well, that much of a shitty person, but Bach, I don't think Bach ever died like poor and miserable, where I feel like someone like Lydia Tarr is gonna, who knows where, we'll never know what happens because the movie ended, but she'll probably die poor and miserable by the end of her life. So it's fascinating to watch, especially like this opens up this whole other conversation we have. It's a huge tangent just to talk about like separating the art from the artist, since like because legit my whole all the talking I've done has been about the discussion around the movie time. I don't think I've talked much about the movie itself right now. I feel we're talking about it right now.
I mean, yeah, I think it was Diego and I who talked about the film a bit more and like what we really love. I really do love your perspective, Diego. That really does help me a lot. But like this is my favorite movie of the year, but this really your conversation really helps me a lot now, more than ever. Like understanding, like holy shit, yeah, you have a very good point.
Like, because that was to me like, because I do agree as well. Like, the movie does like bring up so many interesting themes, and for me the biggest problem is that it takes a way too long to actually get to them. Like there's a lot of scenes that maybe if I rewatch them they make a lot more sense, but they're just kind of like weird. Like I don't get why they're in there in the first. Like for example, when like she tries to get I think the student forgets something and she tries to get it to her, but she just kind of like gets into this weird ass fucking close, like enclosed space where like there's like this dog here and it's really creepy, and like maybe what it's trying to say is that like what I said before about like she's not realizing that she's doing the exact same thing as the student that ended up killing herself because of her, but it just comes up as really strange. And I do like a lot of the more surreal dreamy scenes. They're very rare, like they happen like once or twice, but I really like them, and I hope I kind of wish that they happened a lot more, because they definitely add to the whole, like I like how the movie subtly adds paranoia to her, like when like the sounds that are like all of a sudden start like those tiny insignificant sounds in her house that just kind of drive her crazy. Like I like how she subtly starts to like lose her sense of reality. I just think it takes a little bit too much time to get to there. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think especially I can see that with the scene where she comes back with her sort of damaged face, and she's saying to like the people around her like, don't worry, you got into a fight or something. It's just, I think that she made herself scared at the fact that she thought someone was like stalking her to the point that she fell to the ground and hit her and damaged her face.
Yeah, like the movie's clearly like the movie clearly like portrays how even before rumors start to spread about an allegation starts to spread about what the shit thing that she's done. Even before that, she still has she definitely has guilt over the things that she has done, but she literally can't bring herself to like accept any of the consequences, just because she just had such a big ego. But it really does like bother her, even before the allegations start to actually happen.
Yeah, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I really like this scene where like she's at the meeting or something about the allegations. They tell her like, yeah, you probably can't do the compensation for your thing, and I like that because it's like a way of like showing us as the audience like what happens in these sorts of things, like how does these things get going and everything. Like, do people like go in meetings and have these serious talks and everything? And yeah, the movie shows that, and I really love that. I really love that.
I think what's cool about that, like, it's one of the great things about like the editing in this movie. When she has the meeting, we actually just see her walk in, and then like everyone just turns their head towards her. Then it just cuts to her, like up in like one of the porches, as she's watching the orchestra get set up. Right, scene implies what happened, that she's been kicked out of the. She's no longer the conductor of that symphony.
Yeah, it also shows just kind of like much of a hypocrite she is, because like at the beginning of the movie she's like going all ham about like getting rid of this one conductor because she thinks she's not up to her standard or whatever. But then when she gets cut out of the show, like she literally like throws a fucking fit and tries to attack the other conductor. So yeah, I do like how it shows how much of a hypocrite she is.
Yeah, and it, like she goes saying like, it's my thing. They literally just take her off, and it's like, yeah, you kind of deserve that. You deserve it, to be honest.
Yeah.
To get off, because kind of fuck people around and everything.
I also like how the movie. This is gonna sound really weird, but it reminded me of that John Waters movie, Serial Mom. Like.
Serial Mom, I have not seen that.
I recommend it. It's really fun. It's a really great movie. It's funny as hell. It's a really dark comedy, but it reminded me of that movie because that movie and do the same thing where like the movie tries to convince you that this is based on a real person. Like this movie is the way the movie is presented. It's almost as if Lydia Tarr is an actual person. And this movie is based off a real Lydia Tarr, even though Lydia Tarr isn't actually a real person, but it's framed that way. Like I think that's very interesting, and it actually adds to the themes of like, like like the reputation of Lydia Tarr is so shitty, like they made a movie about her, and it's this movie sort of thing.
Kind of like Fargo or Texas Chainsaw, actually. Those movies I'm familiar with.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Fargo, yeah, definitely Fargo, where they literally tell you in the movie that this is based on a true story, and then they just kind of make fun of that shit in the movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
I do. I always like how when movies, because it's so easy to just like grab some whatever who gives a fuck story and then just slap a based on a true story thing, and everybody has
look at the Revenant. Look at the Revenant.
Yeah, exactly. Like, now it's more interesting because it's based on a true story. I like how some movies like make fun of that.
I do want to talk about Tar as a movie right now, just because I definitely feel like I talked more about the discussion of like the huge talking points surrounding the movie. So like I do want to say I do agree with a lot of stuff you guys did. I really love the cinematography. That classroom scene like was shot beautifully. And another thing I noticed, like a lot of framing within a frame. where and with the it almost like with the way they shot the film, it almost looks like there's like she's stuck in this little void where she keeps doing the same shitty. She can't just stop. Like she can't break the cycle.
Yeah, I do agree that the framing of the shots is like it's trying to like represent how she just kind of like in this like repetitive cycle of just kind of being a really shitty person. Like like one of my favorite shots is like it's almost like right before the end of the movie. She's just staring at this mirror, you know, but like the way it's shot and the fact that it's like another mirror right behind her, so like it does this like mirror thing where like well you know you've seen this right, where like there's like two mirrors right in front of each other, so like it creates like this infinite reflection, you know.
Yeah.
And like it like so there's like this infinite amount of like tars you know, in the mirrors, and that's a really great
Mhm.
you know way to show like yeah she's like in this infinite cycle of just never owning up to whatever the hell she's done, you know.
Yeah.
My 4K Blu-ray, I don't know if you guys seen the 4K Blu-ray cover of it. That kind of goes with the same thing because it's just basically Lydia Tarr's whole thing of like her composing stance, doing over and over and over. It's like a loop in a way how the cover is put as. So that goes into like the whole thing. I think just like how she's kind of in this loophole into like just like her main thing is like composing what she loves, but at the same time she's kind of a shit person for the things that she's done.
I actually didn't mind, although I did watch it. I did have to watch it in bits, but I really didn't mind the pacing, or just I guess the runtime of the movie. It was just like the conversations are so interesting that I never really noticed how long the movie was going for. But yeah, like I know you guys brought up how good the editing was, like especially because like it reminds you guys of a Haneke movie. I definitely need to watch more of his movies because I never really thought of it like that. But I really am a fan of this editing. I kind of wish it won the Oscar for that. But like I love just how much I just love how every scene is cut, just because like it gives you the right amount of information and even lets you come up with your own interpretations of like what happened between then and now. Because like think about like how much screen time Tar's brother got in his scene.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's another thing that I forgot to point out, that maybe Lydia Tarr, probably Tarr isn't even her actual last name when you think about it, because when you kind of get into the whole point of like where Lydia kind of get the snip bit of like where is she from and everything, you're like to the point that like wait a minute, maybe her last name isn't actually Tar. Maybe it was just a name that she got from, I don't know. She probably, because you see her watching the video. I mean the VHS tapes of like composers, and like that much more makes me think now. Okay, she definitely probably got the last name Tar from VHS videos of famous composers, and probably just made it up or found it somewhere, because you realize that in the end, like all this like high art European shit, and in the end you find out that she was raised in this like sort of like standardized American home where brother looks like he does hunting and everything. They live in a it's interesting.
I know, right? It's a lot. It's great just because like I just have to wonder like what happens between her and her brother, because there's definitely implications that the last time they talked wasn't pleasant.
Yeah, and her brother might know that she's been lying about her own like
Origins.
she's been in a facade. Yeah, her own origins.
Yeah, like loose ends definitely implies that he hasn't talked to her brother in fucking years. She probably hasn't talked to any of her actual family members in years.
Probably.
And it's funny, like look how much we're talking about her brother, and he's barely in the movie. He just shows up for the one scene, and I don't even think his scene is even a minute long. But yeah, we can definitely get enough information and come up with our own interpretation of like what happens between her and her brother. It's so much fun. I love the editing. Like, look, I love the way it cuts between scenes. It's so much fun. I love it. I guess Todd Field trusts us enough to fill in the blank
Yeah.
ourselves.
This is like his return to doing movies after 16 years or something of not doing a movie.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
funny.
It was,
Although
I knew him from Eyes Wide Shut. He was the piano guy in White Eyes Wide Shut.
it's interesting how much I love this movie now, given that I didn't really try to watch this movie at all, because I just thought it was just another biopic. Like they kind of imply that they trick you, but legit, I was never interested in this movie. But I only decided to watch this movie after everyone was talking about how awesome the movie was. Like I remember by the time I think what finally convinced me is like seeing someone like Adam from YMS give this a 9. It's like, oh fuck, it's that good, I guess. I guess I need to check this out at least.